Mr. Red, written by XX Apocalypse XX. My older sister, since 7th grade, has had random fainting spells. Whenever a spell was about to happen, my sister would always look up with her mouth wide open, then she went down. We went to 7 different doctors, 4 of them in different states. They couldn't explain it. They did CT scans, neurological testing, everything they could think of, and they still couldn't find any reason for what was happening. About a month ago, my sister had a fainting spell, and she didn't wake up for almost 6 days. My mother and I, since I was still at home and my sister had already moved out, would visit my sister every day after work and school. On day 4, my mom had to work late, and my friend was visiting a friend in the same hospital. So she dropped me off, and we went our separate ways to different wings of the hospital. After checking in and receiving a visitor's pass, I unplugged my headphones and walked down the long and narrow hallway. When my sister's room came into view, I saw a man in a black suit with a red hat. He looked like he was tap dancing. I figured it was a doctor or a nurse who wore a funny looking hat and did a silly little dance to make the kids feel safer. So I waited outside her room for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes were up, I took a peek inside the room. The man started walking away from the bed and watched me as he tap danced away. I took a glimpse at his chest and saw a name tag in bright red on a white pin, Mr. Red. Every day when we visited her, I would see Mr. Red tap dance out of her room. I found it weird that my mom never pointed him out though. She never even looked at him. On the 6th day of us visiting, my mom had to take a call outside the room. She allowed me to go ahead inside and sit down for a while, since she always took forever on the phone. When I was walking inside, I saw Mr. Red bent over my sister. She was making her open mouth face again, and she was shaking. Mr. Red had his mouth placed over hers. He looked like he was sucking the life out of her. I threw my bag at him, and he stepped away from my sister. He began dancing towards me and singing a weird song. It still haunts me to this day. Mr. Red wants you to come out and play. Mr. Red, take my hand or you will stay. He sang it over and over again like he was taunting me. I broke out of my trance by my mother asking why I was singing, and she asked who was the Mr. Red in my song. Being the creative child I was, I came up with my own little song to keep Mr. Red away from my sister. Mr. Red, we don't want to come and play. Mr. Red, go away, you may not stay. When my sister would come over and I saw Mr. Red bend over her again, I would start singing my song over and over again until he let her go. There's only one part of this I never figured out. Why was I able to see Mr. Red when my sister and mother couldn't?